It was almost like everything was in slow motion, and the world decided to slow down for me for once in my life. And this slowing effect was a result of my environment being changed, going on a week of vacation. This week vacation literally changed an entire outlook for me. It reminded me that my cortisol levels were through the roof and that I had to be more present in the moment. Having taken a hot yoga class at Sedona Hot Yoga when I was in Arizona, I began to realize that life is really flying by, and if I don't take things slow, like the way that I took yoga in that class, it was going to go by in the blink of an eye. Not only did I rekindle my relationship with my husband, not that it was super bad before, but we regained this closeness that we had lost from having kids and not being able to commit to one another all the time. It was something that was so real and intimate. But at the same time, I realized taking that class that I truly felt one with was that literally I was the forcing rush. I was the one pushing everything forward. I was the one rushing through life. I was the one that insisted things had to go by so fast. I was the one not taking the break, and I was the one pushing aside my internal needs. I was the one that wouldn't accept healing. And I'm going to unpack all of this slowly, one at a time. When I tell you, life will go by as fast as you allow it to. If you don't take time to slow life down, it still goes by. And that's the problem I was making. I was stuck on this endless cycle of go, 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 fast, fast, fast. But I didn't take time to reflect inward. I was trying so hard to reflect inward, but it wasn't coming because I was stuck on this never-ending roller coaster. I think what really made me realize that I was going too fast was when I realized that I had no choice but to give up the routine. And the routine is something that people are stuck on endlessly. So sometimes you might say you have no choice but to be stuck on this routine, but that's not necessarily true. You have a choice. You have a decision to make. You can switch up your routine anytime that you want. You can refocus your mind and recenter it on something else outside of the mundane routine you have yourself stuck in. Switch up your workout routine. Switch up your walk. Switch up your free time. Switch up anything in your life to make you see things differently. Figure out what would happen if you couldn't do what you normally do. What would happen? And sometimes we have routine in place because we need to do it that way. But there's always something we can switch up or change out. So when it came to me, I felt like if I didn't do hot yoga or I wasn't consistently having upper back pain, it was not a good idea to skip it. And I felt like my world would come crashing down if I skipped a class or if I lost out on going to a Saturday class. And that whole perspective changed when I went on vacation. I realized it really doesn't matter what workout I'm doing as long as I'm getting in the workout. I could switch up the workout to become a slower version of strength training and still feel like I got a workout in or still feel energized. And when I say I felt like the world was ending if I didn't complete a certain amount of hot yoga classes a week, I really did, because yoga was like my meditation, my inspiration, and my workout in one. But when I really looked inward and felt how it wasn't really important to do necessarily all the time, I could do something else because I was really injuring myself from the inside out by repeating the same thing over and over again. And repetition isn't necessarily a good thing. At some point it is, but I feel like it gets you hooked on a loop and you feel like you're consumed by this loop of chaos or consumed by this trigger where you have to do it or you won't feel a certain way. And not only was I injuring myself physically, but mentally I was thinking I had to rush through each routine. And when I took the hot yoga in Sedona, honestly, it was a different perspective on things. It was focused on chakra lymph nodes, and really regrowing yourself internally and focusing on how your inner workings work. And then the movement comes. And I get it. Sometimes people practice yoga that way. But for me, it gave a different perspective of it. And this isn't the first time I took yoga outside of where I live. So it was just pretty, like, I don't even want to know, like, inspiring to hear things a different way. And you can do this with your routine any day. You can make it feel, even though you have some things that necessarily have to be done a certain way, you can switch up something in your life to make it feel like it's not on rush or on fast forward in life, which is what my life felt like. And this perspective caused me to view things so much differently. I felt like when I got back, I was like, everything doesn't have to be a rush. You don't have to do something a certain way. You don't have to get a certain workout in. You can try something different, switch it up, and be one with nature. You can be outside. You can do a different workout. It's not the end of the world if you skip something or you miss something. And I'm not saying fall off your obstacle or your routine with working out. Try something different. Be inspired to do something different. And the thing was, I was trying something different, but I was pushing myself too far, doing weights, then yoga, then the steam room. And eventually I was getting burnt out. I figured my electrolyte levels were probably incredibly off. And I didn't really realize that until I took a step back, stopped doing it, switched up to hiking when I was on vacation, and saw that I felt way more rejuvenated. Sometimes there's things in life that are hindering or holding you back from realizing your true potential or what you could really feel in that moment because you're limiting yourself by this repetitive agreement you have internally with yourself. And that's what I was doing with myself, not necessarily related to what it could be with you. You could have something else that's limiting you in your life, not necessarily a workout routine, but something else that's blocking you. And this is what caused me to realize that I'm setting these limitations on myself, but I'm not really feeling what my body is feeling. And my body, it was so burnt out from doing the same type of moves that when I tell you, it felt relieved to have a break and I felt normal. And honestly, I didn't believe that your mind and your body are connected in a way that you are the one creating how bad your pain can be. I'm not saying people can't be in pain, but for me, my stress was directly connected to my upper back. I'm not saying my upper back pain is completely eliminated, but I felt like a looseness, a relief, because I felt like I wasn't pushing myself to do things a certain way, and I wasn't so pressed on getting this thing complete a certain way, like yoga or my workout routine. And as a result, I feel like I was telling myself I'm completely healthy. I feel incredible. And isn't it funny when you feel great, you're on vacation, for some reason you don't have food issues or you don't. I used to be able to eat gluten years ago, and for some reason the past few years I had a gluten sensitivity. And so I was very mindful of it. But when you're on vacation and your mind is in a great, incredible mindset, or you release your mind, because sometimes when you go on vacation, it takes a few days to really realize, oh my gosh, I'm on vacation. I need to really reground myself and get back in with nature. And that's really what happened. I was like, I'm going to really release everything and be in a meditative state and accept things how they are and realize that there's some things in life you just can't control. You just can't control the way things are. You just can't control the way things are going to outcome. You can't control the way some things are going to be triggered. All you can control is your reaction and the way that you're going to go forward with whatever comes in front of you, your obstacle, your chaos, anything. And sometimes it takes going into a different environment to be inspired, to figure out what your desire is in life. And when I say, truly accepting that I wasn't stuck on this routine, this roller coaster of life, and I was the one leading it. I was the one that was neglecting what my mind was telling me inside, or my subconscious, because I had this mask of thinking if I didn't do this a certain way, I wasn't going to get beyond it. And in life, we get distracted by these things. We easily get sideswiped. We realize, things can get us off track, and we can easily get back on track with resetting our mind and regrowing within ourselves and being inspired by really letting go of what doesn't serve us and letting go. For me, it was kind of like I was holding on to pain physically for whatever reason. I felt like I needed to. And now I feel looser, freer. And, I still worked out a bunch of times this week, but I switched it up and I feel different. And I feel like it's also because I changed up my environment and I accepted that, even if you don't want to go on that walk with nature, go on that walk. Tell yourself to go, because you will be inspired and blown away by what will come through your mind if you do that. So when I finally got back and I realized I was looking at life in a whole new perspective, I was really realizing that it was so crazy how attached I was to who I was before, or how I felt like I couldn't see beyond that. And I go on vacation and I see that, oh my gosh, I'm seeing things clearly now. I'm seeing things differently. And I'm telling myself that I'm 100% fine. And I'm telling myself I can get over whatever obstacle is in front of me. I'm feeling like there's a clear view to the other side of things. And before, I felt stuck. I don't even know how to explain it other than there was only one way to look at it. And now I feel like there's multiple ways to look at things, and there's multiple ways to do things. Not that sometimes you might know of these things, but it's not like you necessarily believe these things. So when you tell these things to yourself over and over again, your subconscious gets suppressed, and you don't really know internally what you really feel. So I feel like when you go change your environment and you tell yourself every day these positive things, you're looking at life in a positive light. You're looking at life with more zest for life, and you're telling yourself, this is 100% possible. I can do this, and I'm capable. And that's kind of what changed with me. I felt like, for me, 100%, I was suppressed. Everything that I felt I was suppressed, and I felt like it was also like all these things were coming at a head for me these past few months, and it was so overwhelming for me. And just to be able to look at things in a different perspective was inspiring. But just life will overwhelm you with anything, but you have to remember that you can't control a lot of things in life. All you can control is your reaction to it and how you handle it. And when you truly accept that, it's over with, you're here now, and what you can focus on is the present, because the present is what you truly have. So just remind yourself that, and remember, nothing is impossible. If I can go from feeling burnout and pain all the time and having these, this chronic pain issue and just this issue, to feeling like, honestly, like I have a new outlook on life, you can too. And you don't need to necessarily leave your environment and go on a vacation like me. You can go, and when I mean leave your environment, you can stay local. You can go to like a local park, somewhere different that you've never gone, and embrace the sun. The sun will heal you. The sun will heal you in more ways than one.